my personal story and experience, how I moved from not knowing anything about graphic design or design in general to becoming a UX designer at one of the top fintech companies that this country has. Basically, I will highlight like the struggles and challenges that I had and how I was able to overcome, how I am overcoming them because they are still there. But I'm hoping that at the end of this conversation, I'm able to help one or two people to probably like have more clarity as to where they are in their design journey and what they need to do to move forward. Can you guys confirm that you can still hear me before I move on?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so uh yeah, let's just get right to this. I think I will start this conversation from 2014 because this is 2015, straight out of secondary school, waiting for post TME. And while I was waiting, my dad put me in this graphic design school around my area, the whole one learn design kind of thing. Now, before this time, I was really exposed to tech. So we had laptops at my house, we had the whole monitor, CPU, GPS, USB, sorry, USB thingy set up in my house. So I was exposed to tech, the IT early. And I was also very active in the computer club of my schools. So I was familiar with the way that computers worked. But having to learn graphic design was what my dad wanted me to add as a vocation while I was waiting because I've always been a very restless child. I'm not the kind of person you can keep at home not doing anything. So he put me there and I hated it. The guys that were there were good designers, but they were not the best teachers, to be honest. They were just having me look at what they are doing and ask me to replicate it with no explanation. And they are using shortcuts, always on their keyboards. I was struggle to follow. So I'll spend most of my time downloading movies from Net Niger and just sharing movies and watching movies and then go home. So I hated it. But I got into uni and I needed to have extra cash. So I started doing very very terrible graphic designs for people that needed it. I had colleagues who were starting businesses who needed logos for their small brands, who needed flyers for like adverts for schools. My department needed a banner one time, and my class did not want to contribute to hire a designer, so I did it for free. But I just identified as a graphic designer with almost no actual knowledge of design principles just because I needed cash. The money wasn't a lot, but I needed it as a student, so I kept doing it. And then fast forward to my IT in 2018. Uh, I did my IT at SNEPCO, and we had like other interns from different fields. And I started learning front end development at the time with an IT with a computer intern at my office. So he was teaching me HTML, CSS, JavaScript. I learned Python, but the Python bites me. So I dropped codes at that point. It seemed very technical to me. I wasn't enjoying it at the point. So, you know, I stopped it. And then COVID hits. And at this time, I found this guy. I don't know if you guys know Ashimi, but Ashimi is one of the very first people I spoke to about getting into tech, and he's a web developer. But he was running this WordPress class in January of 2020. It was free, and I joined in and I learned WordPress as well. But we so basically we got closer. We started talk about what were you doing before you joined my class. I'm like, oh, I'm a graphic designer. And then he would basically send me Instagram links of like popular company graphics, social media graphics to replicate, and it was a struggle. And then this guy now comes to tell me, oh, what do you think about UI UX? In my mind, I'm like, I just told you that I'm struggling with graphic design and you feel like it's a good idea to explore another field. Why are you trying to mock me or something? But so this was 2019, so I turned him down 2019. And 2020, COVID hits. At the time I turned him down, I was using school as an excuse because I'm in school, I don't have time to learn this thing right now. So I stopped it. I didn't take him up on it. On 2020, COVID hit, there was no school, we're all at home. So, I've always been restless. So I needed to learn something. I'm like, you know what, this is a very good time to learn this UI UX thing. Let's start it. And then at the time, there was Start NG was ongoing in March of 2020, but I missed the closing date for application. So I started to learn on my own while I was waiting for HNG that was going to start in June. HND started, I got in again. I was just freestyling, to be honest, because I don't even know what I was doing at the time. But because if you guys know HND, you know it's very fast paced. They don't have time to teach you anything. You're basically learning on your own, and you're pushing yourself and pushing people with you. If that makes sense. So it was just me, trying to keep up, let them not eliminate me, just keeping my head above the water and trying to do the best that I possibly could. To the glory of God, I made it to stage 10, and I was a HNDI 7 finalist. But I still knew that in my heart that I still have a very long way to go to design. So I was very aggressive towards design. I don't think I've ever been committed to anything as much as I was. I don't even read my book as serious as I started design, to be honest. If I dedicated kind of attention to my academics, I probably would have had the first class. But it was a whole lot of dedication. Like I wasn't sleeping. I was always on YouTube trying. I haven't gone to any proper design school, so everything I know, most of the things I know are self-taught, and things that I have picked up along as like at my job, work experience, people that I've worked under, worked with. So it was just me pushing and making sure that I know more than I did the day before. And it was a lot of work that I put in, and thankfully I have a very good community of friends that I go to their DM to rant once whenever I'm burning out. So they've always been there. But it basically kept me sane. So yeah, after HNG, we're back to what do we do now? There's still lockdown. We don't have anything we are doing. What are we going to do? And then I started to pick up freelance jobs that were paying nothing. Let me just call it nothing because we were paying almost nothing, basically. And it was basically more. It was more like for the experience. So let's just say it was for the experience. But there's one particular project I want to talk about because it looked like a disappointment at the time, but as little as that event was, it has helped me. The ripple effect till today is still outstanding. So there was this guy that works at a school, maybe as a PA to the principal or something, but he reached out to me and said he needed me to design a school website. So, we were talking about pricing and he wanted the summary share after all the negotiations, he agreed to pay me 10,000 naira. Please don't laugh. This is a full website for a school. If you know a school website, you know that there are just so many information you need to put into different pages. So we are talking 10, 20 screens. And I'm like, 10K. Remember that I was unemployed. This is 2020. There was a lockdown. I'm still a student and I had no money. At the time, it was a very good deal. Here's the part that busted my head. At the end of that project, the guy did not pay me. He asked me to send him the Figma link. I did. He asked me to transfer ownership out of, I don't know if it's naive or ignorance. I did because he said he needed it to show the principal once BS story sha, and I did. Next thing I know, I'm kicked out of Figma file. I'm blocked on WhatsApp. I'm blocked on every social media platform. I know the guy, so he blocked me everywhere after taking my design and anyway. But for some reason, I now found a duplicate of that file. I feel like it might have been a mistake. One of the times when I had internet issues, I might have duplicated the file and I had a copy. So around that time, I found Hagolex as well. Hagolex does not exist right now, but at the time, it was a crypto startup, and Chris Steve was their design lead. So because I have a lot of mutuals, I had a lot of mutuals who were working there. It was a new startup, crypto startup. So I had people working as community advocates, sales, all those things. So I saw the website and I was wild, and I'm like, I need to know who did this thing. So I reached out to, sorry, I'm diverting, but I hope the story is making sense. I reached out to the guy that I knew that worked there as a community person and asked him to connect me with Chris Steve. And the guy said, Chris Steve is a very busy person. He does not have your time. Why do you want to talk to him? All type of things. I'm like, okay. It was a whole lot of back and forth for like 2 weeks. And I'm like, I was going to the guy every day. Please just introduce me to this guy. Finally, he did, and Christine gave me 15 minutes of his time one Tuesday afternoon. And then that Tuesday afternoon, I asked him one question on that call. You've been designing for 5 years. At the time, he had designed for 5 years. Christine, if you could go back to day one of your design journey, what would you do differently? Now, that question sounds simple, yeah. But before he would tell me what he has to do differently, he will have to tell me what he has done. So basically, it's just me looking me asking, tell me your design story. And he told me everything. He gave me 15 minutes, but we took actually like more than 30 minutes. And he just explained, what he has done, like I'm doing now, exactly. And like, oh, if he will go back in time, shy, he will not do this one because, this is what happened after. And I learned a lot. After that conversation, I went back to the drawing board. I'm like, okay, we cannot continue like this. What are we going to do next? We cannot be designing without direction. What's the plan? Where are we going? How are we going to go about it? So now I now knew Christine. If you don't know Christine is currently co-founder and design or product lead at Tabulio, which you guys check out by the way. But that's by the way. Anyways, after this website guys scammed me now, I took my design, I went to Christine's Twitter DM and told him to review this thing for me because I wanted to put on my portfolio and I was not sure that it was portfolio ready because I did it myself and I did not have any other designer look at it. So I needed to be sure that it was good. Now Christine looks at it and like, oh, do you design this? I'm like, yeah. He's like, sure, this is really good. What would you say about coming to intern at Hagolex for 3 months? We moved from I you can't talk to this person to come and intern with us. I did not apply. All I had to do was just show up and yeah, that's all that happened. And I got an internship with Hagolex by Q4 of 2020. The pay was not great, but I learned a lot under Chris, and yeah, we're still friends till today. Basically, ripple effect again. After the internship, the company had a few issues at the time, so they couldn't retain myself and the other designer that was on internship. So we had to leave. Now this is 2021 January. We are back to unemployment. We are still hunting for jobs. So I was applying to everything that I saw online. Uh, I hope I don't miss. Okay, I was doing freelance. I was doing a lot of freelance jobs, and I got this 50K full time job with these guys. That has been my most toxic employment ever. First, it was an. Can you guys still hear me? I'm talking a lot. Please just comment if you can still hear. If you can still hear me.
Yes, we can see you.
Awesome. Yeah. So this guy's first was an industry that I wasn't familiar with. It was a product for affiliate marketing and one thing like that. But I was new and they needed to like launch the next day. Like I don't mean literally, but you get they're rushing me and I was trying to grab what this thing is even about and then understand get their target market. They didn't have any PLD. They were just talking with their mouth. They're not telling me to go and look at the competition. And then I go and copy what competition has, and they'll be like, "No, we don't want this." It was a very directionless employment. And then the guys now felt like I was wasting a lot of time because they were not seeing 200 screens on the board after 4 hours, and they wanted me to start tracking my work every hour. Like they gave me a spreadsheet and said from 8 to 9 a.m. you write what you've done. From 9 to 10 you write what you've done for the 8 hours a day. And I'm like, no, no, I'm desperate, but I cannot do that. So I left that job. And again, we're back to unemployment. I was picking up freelance along the way. I was posting my designs along the way. So it was a lot of, I was still learning. Remember that I didn't go to any design school. So I was still trying to improve myself, talking to people, have my friends review my designs, just going at it like my life depended on it. Till July. So in July, I think that was the first challenge that Drew started. This is June of 2021. Drew did this design challenge. He had this Notion document where he put a couple of briefs and asked people to, design based on it. And I started doing it. I was posting my designs. That's when I started posting designs like actively because everything I was doing before was just vibes. But I got a call from a design agency in Lagos here. That's my first proper job. Pay was good for a junior designer. So I took it. But basically, posting that challenge, I did good work during that period, but that was the work that I put on my portfolio that got me my first proper job. It was an agency, but they were really cool people until management changed hands sometime this year. But they are really good people that I worked with. Environment was chill. I was working fully remotely. The projects that came in were pretty exciting, so it was good. And yeah, that was by the way. I left the job eventually, but it was just because I had a lot on my plate. And then now, between January and this June that I've been posting my designs, I've been applying to everything again. Like I said, I was applying to anything that I saw. I even lost track of the applications because I was telling everybody that I knew that I'm looking for work. Like daily reminder, I'm going around telling everybody that I'm looking for opportunities. So all my friends knew that I was actively job seeking. I was disturbing everybody. So anytime you see a job opening, you would just think about, "Ah, I know a designer is looking for a job and she's really good." So I had people send me multiple links many times. Tayo is one person that has been like, Tayo sends me applications like I'm paying him to do it. I feel like every morning I'm waking up to Tayo's DM with like 5 links of copies that are hiring. And then somehow, sha, I applied to Money Point in that period. But again, I did not remember that I applied until September 12th of 2021. I got a call one afternoon. Sha, I was sleeping because again I was unemployed. But I woke up to a missed call from an unknown number, and I called the babe back, and she's like, "Hi, my name is Stephanie from Team Apt." Remember, I don't know what Team Apt was, so it was me trying to be nice and act like I know what she's talking about. "Hi, I'm Stephanie calling from Team Apt. I'm checking for your availability for an interview tomorrow. We got your application. I applied since like June." Now, while she's talking, I'm going to my email to go and check for what the heck Team is because I did not remember. I've never heard Team before that time. I'm sure I saw the application I just applied, but I did not really take. I was applying to so many jobs. I didn't take time to like read every company's website. I lost track of it at that point. So I got the interview with Team and summary, I got the job. Yeah, so the portfolio that I used to apply Team was basically a collation of all the challenges I had done from January to the point of application, obviously. Yeah. Uh Basically. I think that's where I met Leslie, because Leslie has been like an idol, my design idol, like for the longest time. So it was really an honor to get to work with him. He left, but we worked together for quite some time, and it was really interesting. What happened after that? Again, I was still going at it. So now this is me moving from freelance and on my toes to a stable employment. And it was weird because I no longer had the time to, be restless. Now I had a job I need to focus on. I was like inactive, for lack of words. I just needed to like slow down and now think of the soft skills that would keep me at the job. So remember, I have proved my technical skills, all of this UI, UX research stuff, and I got the job, but I needed some skills that would keep me at the job. So my probation period was 6 months, and I don't know why they kept me because I feel like I really flopped it. I was bad at communication. I was not the best with feedback. I was just all over the place because nobody told me that apparently design is not all you need to be a designer. So soft skills at the job in the beginning was terrible, but my manager was the most patient person. Basically understood that this baby is a fresh blood, and she needs to understand work ethics in the workplace. I wasn't rude or anything, but I was just like acting like a novice. Yeah. So she showed me the ropes and I got a lot better. And yeah, basically that was it. I think that's the end because everything that happened after that has basically just been me improving myself and just making sure that I'm better than I was the previous day. If you are active on Twitter or you follow me on Twitter or see me on Twitter, you see that I started the 100 of Interaction Design Challenge earlier in the year, and I had to take a break in April and May because of work, and I was burning out. So I took 2 months off to basically arrange my life together and stay employed. But yeah, I will talk about in detail everything that I had, like the actual challenges and like the wins and losses that happened during this period. And I hope that you guys can learn one or two if you haven't started learning anything already. Can you guys still hear me, please?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So now we will move to the clueless phase uh, of my career. You already know this. In the beginning, I did not have direction. I feel like many designers, new designers, always have this point where you're just designing. We are doing sign up page today. We are doing 404 page tomorrow. We are doing footer tomorrow. We are doing landing page for NFT website the next week. Like, what's the end game? you won't know that in the beginning, but it's just important that you realize that all these screens you're designing has like a, is it purpose that we'll call it now? They're basically an end game. Think of the big picture, not just putting things on your portfolio. In the long run, how are you developing yourself as a designer and as a creative? So that's something that many designers don't have or have. Yeah, lack of direction is a problem. Another thing that really affected me, is still affecting me, is imposter syndrome. And at the time, it sounded like a big deal. But now I realize that there is just that is not an issue. It's going to be there. In fact, imposter syndrome is just proof that you're doing something really good and you should keep at it. And the difference between imposter syndrome and being an actual imposter. If you're an actual imposter, what you have is no imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome is when you feel like you are, because you are doing like really good stuff. You feel like you are getting too much credit for like the work that you're doing. So there's a very thin line between the syndrome and the actual like being an imposter. So we need to like make sure that you're not, you get the point. Yeah, so that's an issue. And I feel like there is, especially in the beginning, it's like an actual issue that I feel like many other designers have. Another one would be the fear of taking risk, or like fear of failure, or if I apply to this job, I will get rejected because I don't have the number of years they're asking for in this job. Now, I'm not saying go and apply to a job that is requiring 12 years experience, because I mean, not to like be negative or anything. They said 12 years, you have like 6 months, you're not going to get it because they need like a very senior person. My point is, if you find a job that almost matches your person or your experiences, you should go for it. Don't feel like, oh, they said only remote, or oh, they said I don't have like all the five things they're asking for. Just shoot your shots. What's the worst that will happen? They'll say no. Also, another thing that actually like affected me was the lack of technical knowledge. And I feel like many designers are at this point where the UI is the only thing that's important to them. Once I post two screens with fine background or with iPhone mockup, I'm good to go. There's a lot of technicality that goes into design. Design is not fine art. So especially when you're UX focused, there are just so many principles that you need to be aware of, and you need to understand that these things are a must. You need to learn these things when you're starting out. Um I feel like information overload is another thing that affected me, because like out of HNG, we had so many YouTube videos posted every 2 days. There somebody is collating a resource pack for junior designers, and everybody's saying go to Jesse Showwater YouTube, go to Xander's YouTube. But just so many resources all over the place. So it was really difficult to manage that information all at once. So that's an issue that affected me. Again, with articles, books, multiple case study styles, people have different opinions on what design should and should not be. It was just too much for my designer. I feel like my designers currently go through that. Another thing that was an issue for me, especially because I finished HNG, was comparing myself with other designers. Now, HNG, if you know HNG finalists, they are star people, and many of them might have even had experience before they got to HNG. Like myself, there's so many designers that already have full-time jobs before they got into HNG. So this is me with my 6 months of the internship. That's all I have. Trying to compare myself with these guys, it was me setting myself up. I shouldn't have done that. But many designers, again, especially when we are all on social media, on Twitter, seeing these people's posts getting 3,000 likes and your own is not good enough, or because you are getting 12 likes and all the people that liked it are just your friends, you feel like you're not good enough, or you don't know what you're doing. That's not again, let me just say this here. Social media validation is not a metric to how good you are. I know so many designers who are not even on Twitter and they are building mad stuff in real life. I know many designers that have like maybe 80 followers at most, and they've been on Twitter for years because they are not like actively, they're just there for like maybe to just follow their company's accounts or see what's happening in one industry. they're not actively on Twitter. So if you now want to say that, oh, if I have 10,000 followers, means that I'm an amazing designer, I'm better than the one that has 100 followers, you're just failing because it's not a metric to how good you are. If you have 10,000 followers, sure, that's all fine. But that's not saying that somebody that has less than you is less of a designer than you. And I feel like many junior designers make that mistake because we want to follow the guy that has 10 million followers. We want to tag him on our design so that he will retweet it and we will get, 10 million people to view it. That's not that's just, in my opinion, vanity because it's not gonna help you in any way. Yeah, don't do that. If you're doing it, just stop. It's not the best, to be honest. Okay, another thing I feel like um I still struggle with this one is just the fear of uncertainty. Like, okay, um I've been designing for a year and I don't have a job. Will I ever get a job? Am I good enough to get a job? When I do get the job, if you're an overthinker like me, this has crossed your mind multiple times. Will I get the job? Okay, if I get the job, and I'll stay on job for like 3 years. Will I get promoted at the job? Will I be able to get like a foreign gig where they're like all white people because I'm the only Nigerian person there and I cannot compete with them? All these things in your head, Sha, is like, what if this, what if that? Okay, but what if not? Like, you're just limiting yourself because of things that you don't even know. Many of us here that are designers did not study computer science in school. That's a fact. I studied biochemistry, and the plan was to go to medical school. But here we are. If you had told me in my first year that I would be designing after graduation, I would laugh at you because first, at that time, I don't know jack about design. I hated it. I already said I hated it. So it would be unbelievable that I would finish in school in Nigeria and go and practice something that I did not read in school. But just like that, you don't really know what you'll be doing in 5, 10 years from now. So do what you can with the resources you have now and just make sure that you're doing your very best so that when the future comes or 10 years from now comes, you know that yes, 10 years ago, I put in everything I had I put in everything I had, the resources I had available at the time, and I've done my very best. So it's not be a case of, oh, if I had done more at that time, I probably would be somewhere else now. Yeah. So I just basically shared a few points of Clueless Allison when she started designing. Now let's talk about how I was able to navigate to the creative part of it. The first thing is your mindset. If your mindset is not developed, if you don't have a growth mindset, everything that we are saying here is just going to be talk because you will not be able to putting all of these things you're hearing to work because your mind is telling you something else entirely. You always still have that doubt. You always still have something contending with you to not take. You always find a reason for why what I'm saying is rubbish and why you should not take my advice or why you shouldn't do this thing that I'm advising, suggesting that you do because of what is already in your mind. So first thing you need to get is a growth mindset, a positive attitude. Like, do not dwell on the negatives. They're negatives. Like, rejection mail is very depressing, even at this point. Okay, it doesn't affect me anymore because I just look at it and laugh and like, okay, that company is your loss. But and in the beginning, when you're so sure that you will get this thing, and then they tell you that we regret to inform you that we moved on with another candidate, or we will not be going forward with your application for a job that you were so sure you were overqualified for, or like you're sure you're going to get. Maybe you've gone to final stage of an interview and not tell you, and you were just you were so sure that you were already there, and then they tell you they don't want you again. So that can be very depressing. But again, you need to realize that you cannot do anything with that mindset. You need to find a way to get yourself back together. If you need to take a break or hang out with friends, just clear your mind and come back to the hustle with a very clear head. That will help you to be able to apply everything else that you learn along the way and just basically move you a step forward. Basically, you are failing, but you need to be able to fail forward. Okay, I was rejected. What do we do next? Think of what's going to happen next. Don't think about, oh, I was rejected. So you know what? I'm not designing again because, or I'm going to stop applying to jobs like this because they rejected me this 1 or 2 or 3 times. Basically, that's the first thing. Second thing is you need to gain knowledge and you need to learn. I cannot overemphasize this enough. Design has basic principles that you need to understand. Without these basic principles, you really cannot do anything, because these principles are going to show up everywhere, from the interviews to the actual job. Even if you're designing a pet project, the principles are like, it's like the Bible. You need to understand these principles of design. They will help you like so much. Like, I don't even understand how to explain it, but this is like a must. This is the one, regardless of which design you're doing, is motion or is graphic or is presentation or is interaction or is illustration. Design has basic principles that apply to every type of design, and you need to think about this. You need to learn these principles, whether you are self-taught or whether you are in a boot camp or you're in a school. Make sure that these things are, you know, these things by the time you're out of there. There are a couple of books that I recommend. There are a couple of courses. I can probably share this with the organizing team at the end of this presentation, but they're just things you just have to know these things. Learning is inevitable. And another thing that I like at this point is people feel like the beginning is the hard part. Like, oh, once I read these 200 books of design and I watch these 10,000 videos, I'll be fine. I promise you. That's the tip of the iceberg. With every level, the higher you go, the more knowledge you need to acquire to like stay relevant, stay on top of the field. Because if you don't, the industry is constantly evolving. It will evolve and you still be there, and that evolve that past you. So you need to make sure that you're up to date and you're relevant and you know what's going on at every point in time. Yeah. So that's basically what I say about that. The next thing would be, after you have gotten all of this knowledge, you need to be able to apply them to what you're doing. Like, the if you're like, basically the knowledge you have learned, you need to apply them to, you know, your designs, whether you're working a full-time job already or you have a freelance gig or you are just, you know, doing pet projects and posting your work online. We need to be able to see your knowledge in your work, because that is your work that's going to speak for you. The way that design is not like the traditional job, like maybe medicine or law, where your value is perceived by what you say or what you know. But design is your portfolio. That's the first thing they ask you for when you're applying for a job. I see what you can do, because what you can do is a reflection of your design skills. And when they ask you for recent work, so showing what you can do is the metric for gauging what kind of designer you are, what level you are in. It's not about all the laws of UX that you know. If you cannot apply it to your design, is as good as nothing, because what's the point if you know all these things and they are not, it's not reflected in the work that you're doing. So basically, as you're learning, make sure that you're applying these things that you're learning to your actual designs. Another thing that I like to mention at this point that helped me was getting feedback and iterating. Sometimes we are so attached to our designs that we feel like everything is great. But this thing happened to me today. I did something this morning and I shared it with somebody, and he just showed me this part of design that I did not even think about. So yeah, even if you have 10 years, yes, you know, you have more experience and you will know like to look out for like more details, for lack of words, but you really can't know everything. As much as possible, try to get feedback from people and consider the feedback and iterate on it. I'm saying consider the feedback because sometimes the people that are telling you these things, they are not the ones that invented design. Like, people have their own opinions. Yes. So whether it's a manager or whether it's a senior designer or maybe a colleague at work that's looking at this thing, consider what they're telling you. Like, look at it from their perspective. If it doesn't still resonate with you, by all means stick to what you know. Because I've seen cases where I have changed something based on somebody else's feedback and I changed it to rubbish. My idea was slightly better, but I wasn't confident enough in what I knew to stick with it. So again, this is more of a very it's relative. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Just consider it, look at it from perspective. If you're convinced that they have a point, please iterate and test if you can. If you're not convinced, I think it's safe to stick to what you know, unless you really trust the person's judgment and you are sure that what the person is talking about, you probably have zero to little knowledge of. So in that case, yeah, probably take they know what they're saying, so take them up on it. But if you are not confident that the person has a point, you can stick to what you know. The point is, as much as possible, try to get feedback from people and iterate on the feedback that you have gotten. Now, this other one is something that some people might not agree with, but I feel like building a personal brand is another part that's helped me. Let me explain. When we were HNG, my Twitter username was Hey. I can't remember. But it was not my name, basically. It was one phrase. I don't remember what it was, but it was not my name. And then Marketing CEO of Hotels.ng asked us to change our social media names, handles to our names, our actual names, so that we could be identified. At the time, I was like, why is it important? What does that have to do with HNG? But now it makes sense to me because even if you're applying for a job and on that at that job you send me your social media handle and I'm saying big Nikki 96.ar or whatever, I'm not going to take it seriously because you really don't know what you're doing. That's just one part of it. Second part is people can easily find you on social media. Like the SEO is just so smart. If you search Alison Ayo on social media, you see my LinkedIn, you see my Twitter, you will see my Behance, you will see my Dribble, you will see maybe my YouTube. Basically things that I have identified with. So it's important that you stick to if you're building a personal brand, that is, some people might disagree because they feel like you don't have to be on social media. But I'll explain why I feel like that is important. If you're going to social media, be on social media as yourself so that when people are looking for Alison Ayo, they find you. Basically, you don't know who is checking. People are watching you at every point. So I'm about to say, people are always watching you. So if you're on social media, be on social media well. Now, why do I think social media is important? Because everybody's on their phone. Now, if I just think about the most basic thing, like trying to order cargo pants, for example, and I go to Instagram and check cargo pants. Instagram will only show me the people that he knows, I mean, it knows that sell cargo pants on Instagram. It's not going to show me. It will not even know that there's one babe in Maryland that has a store inside her room because she's not on social media. So she has low-key lost a potential customer because she's not where I can find her. You're a designer and all your designs are on your Figma. Nobody's going to come to your DM and ask you, oh, Fola, what are you doing? You're a designer. Oh, yeah, come, let me hire you. Because most of these companies that are hiring digital product designers are on the internet. Or maybe somebody is referring to somebody else. They are going to ask for it. Like, they're going to need you to, you need to be where they can find it. The kind of job that we do is not like medicine or law where, they can give you, Kelvin, please, can you mute your mic? They can give you a business card. Yeah, design is digital design that we are doing is a very is everything is on the internet, so you need to be where they can find you and the space is saturated. So if you need to just be where they can find you. This is Misha. I hope that makes sense. Some people have the opinion that you don't need social media, you can just do it yourself. But let's be very truthful. The designers that are not on social media that are making it big have made it big through another means, probably connections or some kind of like networking fair that they went to, maybe a pay stack job fair or something like that. But they have been where people can find them, even if it's not. But basically, social media, you have like more reach, you have more audience. So, in my opinion, it's just the best way to go about it. If you're a very private person, I don't be on social media. I don't know. I'm not. I don't have advice for you, but I hope that you find what works for you, Sha. Yeah. The next thing that I want to highlight is the power of community. Now, when I say community, I don't mean like I mean there are very good communities. Asha Koteri, I'm a member of Asha Koteri, Jude's Alpha, HCD, I'm a member, but like I'm not like active. But I have people in my circle that I can always buzz and they will show up. Like we are not we met all of us met through design, but we just have like a way of so we've built some kind of what's the word?
What's the word?
Please, you're not speaking. Can you mute?
Please, you're not speaking. Can you mute?
we've been able to build a kind of trust among ourselves, like, oh, this babe is my guy, this, I know this guy, Gaga is my guy. So I can call these people and talk about my most random day with my boss. And maybe I just want to rant, or maybe I just need help, or maybe I just want to hear from somebody else's perspective. I trust that I will get their 100% truth on that issue. So when I say community, I don't mean join a community that has 10,000 people, because to be honest, you might not get enough value from them because there are so many. I feel like when there's too many people in a space, you're less likely to get the best out of everybody, because I know some people that are like more active than others. But when it's a small community, people have more room to like give their 100%. There's like more room to say, please don't drag me. I belong to a number of them, but I just know the difference between my clique and like group of 10,000 people. It's good because they'll be posting jobs there and we just thing. But like I can't be honest in the group. I cannot come and tell you that I fought with my boss at work. What if my boss babe is in that group, or my boss brother is there? Like I cannot be honest and open. So I feel like a smaller community, if you have good design friends and all of you are in the same maybe level, and all of you have the same drive, it's very important you guys have the same drive. Because if you're with somebody who is like probably not so dedicated to their growth, you are likely to slack as well, or it will look like a struggle trying to drag this person up with you. So make sure that all of you like on the same wavelength, on the same frequency. Share resources, share materials, share your wins, share your losses. Yeah, that's just my personal experience. I hope that this thing helps you. Now, um this is the core of my entire design career. It has been built on resilience and consistency. I think the first thing I mentioned when I was talking was that I've always been a restless child. My parents knew that. I'm the kind of child that if you leave me at home, before you come back, I've dismantled the radio and I've put it back. Or I turned the fridge upside down to see what's always making noise. Like I was just always very handy. I always want to like do something. I always want to. I cannot sit down. Tell me to sit down one place. I can't. How do you sit down one place? No, my parents knew that I was that kind of person. And my dad put me in design school for that reason. It has not changed. I'm still a very restless person. So if I'm at, I think this has happened. So my friends have the opinion that it's toxic for me because I tend to want to handle too many things. Well, I agree with them, but it's working. So, leave me alone. But even at work, when I'm done with my to-do list, I feel so empty. Like I cannot just chill and be like, I'm not working for the next. Like it's just weird. I need to be doing something actively. What, like I think it was on Tuesday. I finished all my meetings. I finished all my work at work. I shot a couple of videos. I did a couple of videos, and like 7 p.m. Check my calendar is empty. I'm like, what do I do now? I have meeting the next morning. I could have slept, but I'm like, I need to do something. I can't just sleep till tomorrow morning. I have like 4 hours till like my bedtime. What can I possibly do? And then I went to YouTube and a couple of things. I'm always multitasking. You can never catch me doing one thing at a time. I'm always doing multiple things. I feel like the adrenaline kind of drives me. Some people are different. Some people, it has to be one thing at a time, and I understand that. So this is even a case of do what works for you. But for me, if you're like me, I advise you to maximize your capability because it's a gift. Many people cannot handle multiple things at a time. So if you can, I advise you to take it slow, take breaks. So, cause I take like 20 breaks while I'm working so that I don't run mad. I take breaks during the weekend as well. But when I'm working, I want to be doing 25 things at the same time. And I will do all of them with the best quality I can offer to those projects. So that's just me. So if you're like me, though it's not a bad thing, just make sure that it's not like detrimental to your health and you're resting and you're eating well. But try to maximize that gift that you have. Is a gift, you should use it. Yeah. And then consistency. If you're on Twitter, if you know me for the last 1 year, you already know like I've I just have to keep doing it because I feel like at the end of the day, success is not a sprint, it's a marathon. It's summary of everything you do from day one. It's basically the way that your parents tell you or your lecturers tell you about your CGPA, like, oh, you have to be getting A's from like your first year. That's exactly how I see my life and my design career specifically. So it's something that I need to do today and the next and the next. And that basically helped me like shape my entire design experience from the agency that I worked with to my current full-time job. It's just knowing that I need to do this thing over and over again. If you are designing every day, another person is designing maybe once a month or once in 2 weeks, you cannot exactly compare yourselves. It's even the same if you guys go to the gym or you work out, you see that people that tend to do this thing 4 or 5 times a week will see better results than those that go once in 2 weeks or once a month, because the little results that you get from day one, you probably won't see any benefits. From day two, you won't see any benefit. From week two, you probably won't see any benefit. But when you look at the work that you did in January to the work that you are doing now, you can see clear improvement that only has been possible because you were doing this thing consistently. Now, consistency is not frequency. I don't mean consistently like every day. I mean consistently like it's always top of mind. Even if you take a break, you already know that we are coming back to this and we're going to keep going at it because that's just the way that you need to grow. So I hope that helps. Now this is a part. Okay, I've basically explained this part, but I'm going to say it again. This is one part that people, many designers don't know. The power of networking and collaboration is underemphasized. And this is not even specific to design. Any field, you have to know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And I think Salem has a video on this. If you're like me and you're introverted, like you don't like walking up to people randomly to like say hi, my name is Alison is weird. What Salem advised, he did this video like last year, was just keep doing good work so that the networking process is shortened. I'll give you an example. If my name is Alison and I walk up to you at an event and you don't know me and hi, my name is Alison, I'm a designer, what's your name? You have reservations because when you don't know me too, maybe I'm just wasting your time, you don't know. But imagine that I've been all over your FYP for the last 1 year. You've seen me making videos, you've seen me pushing tutorials, you've seen my articles, and then you come and meet me because you already know of me because of the work that I do. So the networking will still happen, but it's now less tension on my end because I don't have to impress you anymore. Do you get like I don't have to work too hard to make you like me within that 10-20 minutes that we have. So you already know me because of work that I do. And if I've seen you on my page as well, like, oh, look at this babe, this messy babe that I see on my Twitter. Oh, I know her, you get. So it's now easy on both of us because we both know each other. So it's now easier to talk to people. Again, this is people, introverts like me that don't know how to like talk to people in public. But regardless of whatever the case is, many opportunities that I have gotten has been through referrals, and the like the initiator of that of that thread, I met by reaching out. Christy, for example. Then there's Favor of Payday. Then there's Abraham of Career Body that I have just reached out to or worked with, and then they like my work, and the relationship grows from there. So that's just it, basically. Nobody, I don't know if anybody did not know this before, but I have seen it work like firsthand. So don't be a loner in the design space. Everybody needs everybody. We all need each other. Just make sure that you are offering as much value as you're expecting to get, because if you're not, then it's just giving parasites. And people, we are humans, we all want to make sure that whatever relationship we are in, we are also gaining from it. So yeah, that's basically all. I hope that you guys have learned one or two things from my boring story. Sorry to bore you this Saturday evening, but yeah, I'll be taking questions now.
Thank you, Alison, for taking time to share your story with us. Thank you so much. I appreciate it, and personally, I have learned a lot. And right now, I'm even considering this product design after listening to you. I might have to switch careers. Anyways, before we take questions, I have a question somebody sent since yesterday for you.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
just read that. I'll read that out so you can answer. It goes, I am a UX researcher with 4 years experience, but I am transitioning to product design. How do I combine both to make my portfolio look great? I wasn't really dealing with UI design in all my career, just purely
Purely
research.
said. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing you need to do, because UX research and UX design have similar principles, there are still some like distinctions, like some things that you did not know as a researcher that are very important in design. So I advise that you take a course. Check domestica. Domestica is eh? Do you know that LinkedIn has courses? LinkedIn learning is the most underrated piece of resource on the internet. Just go to LinkedIn Learning and find a course on UX design. If you guys don't know, please, I found out like earlier in the year. I'm plugging all of you now. I'm sending it for you. LinkedIn Learning has so many resources. I don't know how it is free. I don't even know how it's free. Is it free? I don't know if it's free because I'm on premium, but I don't know if it's free. Even if it's not free, it is so good. It is so good. I found this interaction design course I think 2 weeks ago, and it is just the best thing. Yeah, so for that person and for everybody else, check LinkedIn Learning. You will find free courses on the basics of UX design. That's a very good start. But you cannot exactly put work in your portfolio if you have not done work. So, what I advise is that you pick up one of the projects that you have done research on and design it. That's a good way to start. Because you already like know everything user centric about that project. So it will be very easy for you to design based on that information. Because if you know the basics of UX design and you have the data from UX research, what do you want again? Like you are blown. You're basically made for that project. You have everything you need. So in that case, that's what I think you should do. But just because you also need like visual design skills, I don't know if you have any design experience, but also try to like practice your UI design, learn the principle of UI design as well, and just see how you can like apply all of the things you know to the project. That's why I'm advising you to pick one that you already have data on so that the work is less. So you already have the documentation. All you need to do is just do the actual screens and prototypes. So that's what I would advise you to do. It might take a while, but if you put your mind to it, I promise you it's possible. Just take a few courses, watch a few videos, learn the basics. You'll be good. Yeah.
All right, Harrison. Thank you. Hold on. Thank you for that. Oh, Mercy, please, you can go ahead with your question. Mercy, Ben.
Hey, Alison, thank you very much for sharing your story with
Hello.
me. I've learned a lot. God bless you. God bless you. Okay, so my question
Mm,
is, how long have you been designing for, and when did you know that I'm job ready? How did you go about working on your portfolio? What were the things you looked out for when creating your portfolio? Did you use Dribble or Behance as first, or did you come up with your personal website? So can you like just help me answer those questions? Thank you.
okay. So how long have I been designing for? Officially 4 years. Officially 4 years. But I do have front end and graphic design experience that span to like, let me see. This month is not Martin. 8 years in total. But let's not add the first 4 years because it was total beans. But officially 4 years. Officially 4 years. So how did I know I was job ready? I did not know. I just knew that I was jobless and I needed to do something in my life. So I got so I don't know if you were here in the beginning. After HNG, I was still undergraduate at the time, but I needed a job. Now, if you guys don't know HNG, at the end of the internship, they kind of promise or they try to refer the finalists to companies that are ready to hire. But at the time that I finished, there was a lot of requests, but I wasn't recommended because I was still an undergraduate, and Mark was not referring undergraduates or corpers to these companies. So I not getting. Some people got it, some people did not. But when I reached out to him, he said specifically that he did not recommend me because I was still in school. And I found that very insulting. I mean, I get the point, but I was still pissed. So I was doing everything. And basically, what was on my portfolio? Everything I did was on my dribble. I feel like some of them are still even there. If you scroll down to my dribble, you'll see work from like 2020. So everything I did was on my portfolio. The goal for me when I was designing every day or every week was, let's make the design better than what we did last week. So in my head, this is the best work I have. So like it was not, oh, this one is not good, but I've done it. It was a, I'm designing this landing page. I'm going to make it, I'm going to put everything I have to this landing page so that it is the best work I have. So everything on my dribble was basically the best work I had. If I'm posting it, it's the best work I've done, it's the best work I had at the time. And with time, I started to write case. So now I had phobia for writing. So all this case study thing, I was not even ready for it. I think when I applied to Money Point, I wrote the case study the night before because the search write case study. So I wrote something. I don't even know if they read it or if it made sense. I just wrote it because everybody was writing it. I would rather walk you through the prototype in a video and explain. But I know what I did though, but I don't know how to tell you in words how I what I did and how I did it. So I was really not. I had phobia for writing for the longest time. I think it's probably like a year ago I started writing properly because like I had to face my fears at some point. So for personal websites, I did not have one. So what I did was at some point last year I had a website designed on Figma. Then I got a domain and I linked it. So if you go to that link, it will take you to the Figma prototype I had. But I took it down because why did I take it down? I don't remember why I took it down. I took it down, Sha. It was no longer my best work because I wasn't having time to update that portfolio because of like my full time. So I took it down. I've not put it back up. My most recent work, okay, I have a portfolio that I share with recruiters that's on Notion. Yeah, but I also have like I recorded prototypes, I recorded demos, and they are all like on the Notion. So Notion is where it's not public, but every time I'm applying to a role or a job or anything, that's the link that I use. But my dribble is public, my Behance is publicly not updated. Most of my other work is just like on social media. But yeah, what else did you ask me? Can you remind me? Is that all? That's all the questions.
Yes, yes, you did. Thank you.
Okay. Is there
All right.
anybody else have any other
Thank you,
question?
Mercy, for the question, and thank you, Alison, for your answer. Is there any other person who has a question? Okay, Daisy Emma, please go ahead.
Hi, Alison. Thank you very much for the session. My name is
Thank you for
Daisy,
joining.
and I'm fresh out of a boot camp,
Okay.
a product design boot camp. So, like, I just finished my final project. So right now, I'm like all over the place, like you said.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
really
trying to put together my portfolio, and right now, I actually don't know. I've applied to certain places looking for internships, but so far I've gotten like how many rejections. But then again, I'm used to it because at least I've been in the workforce for quite a while.
yeah.
So um uh at this point, I'm still struggling between how to craft my portfolio as someone who is just fresh out of a boot camp, and how to I've done a couple of projects, how to like
Mhm.
put all of them in a portfolio and case study. It feels like it's overload for me. So I don't know if you could just help me, I don't know, direct me on probably how I should the step by step process I could take so that I could like put my portfolio together and I don't know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure. Before I answer your question, let me just say, when you hear rejection mails, there are a number of reasons why companies will send you rejection mails. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad designer. One, maybe they're not hiring for that role anymore. Two, application is closed and a bot is the one sending the rejection mail. Three, they have already hired internally. My company, for example, before we push any application to the internet, we will ask ourselves, do you guys know any illustrator? Do you guys know any? Do you guys know any? So maybe somebody I referred. Now, if you're applying to Money Points on the website, and me I referred a guy, and the guy is good, they will not look at your own. It's not like, oh, they look at your own and you're not better. Is that they trust my recommendation because I work there. I know what optimal performance should be, and they trust that I will not recommend somebody that will flop. So just so that they bypass the entire interview process, they just hire this guy. Really, if it's a job, is a position that they need to fill immediately. But I beg, if the position they need to fill immediately. So when you are rejected, it does not necessarily mean that, oh, I did not do well in my cover letter or my resume or my portfolio is not good enough. There is possible, it's a possibility, but I'm saying when you have put in everything that you have and you know that you've done your very best, don't worry about it. Just apply to the next job. Sometimes it's not even your fault. Now, out of a boot camp, you need to prepare your portfolio. Assuming that you're applying for a junior design role or a design internship role, paid internship, whichever it is, I feel like you should start from that project you're on now. That project that you're working on now is a good place to start. So if you had bypassed anything, well, so now the metric for hiring a senior designer will not be the same for hiring a junior designer. But that does not mean that you're not putting your best. So what I'm trying to say is, if you know that at your level there are some things that you have missed, like some things you bypassed or you didn't do well enough, just go and do it well now. So at the end of the project that you're working on, that's like case study one or that's like project one. Another thing many designers kind of don't think about in the beginning is you don't have to design a full fintech application before you call it a case study. You could redesign one feature from an existing platform. We all of us use so many applications a day: Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever. Even like some other not very popular ones like your Notion or mobile or your iOS notes or your App Store, whatever it is. You can find one feature in that big product and redesign it. It could be Google has photos, Google Photos, abi Google has a to-do list as well. So you could really find one very big company that has like multiple products and find a feature that has the problem. I know there was somebody that used to like find loopholes. I don't remember the guy is Indian. I don't remember his handle. This is like 2020-ish, but I haven't seen him in a long while, so I assume he stopped. But what he used to do was he would go around, he would be testing products and then find be like critique this product. He wasn't He was a product guy, he wasn't a designer, but some designers I knew would go to his previous post and pick one of his critiques and have it redesigned and then tag him. I haven't seen him like a year, so I assume he has stopped. But something like that, if just check if there's anyone existing, you should probably like that would be a good place to start. But my point is, don't design fintech dashboard with withdraw and fund money. Everybody's doing it. Think outside the box. Try to find your, in fact, just go to your, I think App Store even has an issue. You can go to your App Store and just the fact that the um what's the word? Maybe the ratings are not clear enough or users cannot easily see the updates made to a particular application, or users want to be notified. Yeah, this one is like an actual issue. I hope it's not just peculiar to me, but when an app has an update, I want App Store to notify me. I don't want to have to go to the app like when I need it. Like for example, my payday app is like I don't use it every time. I only use it when I want to like pay for stuff. So I wanted to form my card like immediately, and they're telling me to go and update the app. Now the updates came like 2 months ago. I'll be sorry, like 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, why didn't you just tell me when it came? If my auto updates, I mean whatever is not on. Like I want to like they are stressing me. At that moment, I needed these things to be done ASAP. So having to like now go to App Store at that point was an issue. So if App Store can, you know, tell me, oh look, Money Point has a new update. Check it out. This is what has changed. That would be good. That's an example. So basically, look for things like that and have them redesigned and do a case study on that redesign of that feature. It doesn't have to be the entire App Store products that you show all of the screens App Store has. Just think about it from a UX perspective. So you could even like now have interviews or surveys with people that how do you handle your app hey hit factor your app mm, your app updates your app, your app updates and just like get actual data and see how you can even like do a prototype and test it with like product people or people that users that have this issue. I see how they react to it. How does it make you feel? That kind of thing. Like just it's not even the work that you do, it's just the thought that this person is thinking outside the box. Because if I'm a recruiter, recruiting for a junior designer role, everybody has the same fintech, top up your wallet, withdraw your money, virtual card design, and it's exhausting. I'm going through 100 portfolios and all of you have the same thing. Like, I want to see something different, even if it's not as gang, like you don't have all the numbers, your design is not even that UI crazy, but just the fact that this person can think. I want this guy on my team just because she can think. I want to be able to do my team because she can think. That's like something that you need to use to like stand out. So I hope that answered your question.
It does. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Pamela, you have a question?
Yes, I do. So
Sure,
I
go ahead.
remember in the beginning when you mentioned that you like multitasking,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd like to ask, do you think someone who does one thing at a time, can the person like excel as a product designer?
Sure, you can. So let me just explain how I work. I don't when I'm saying I'm multitasking, I don't mean that I'm doing three projects at the same time from 9 to 5. What I mean is I'm handling different things at the same time, but I I basically take if I take too many breaks to be a designer, like I can work for like 20 minutes, 10 minutes after I am on Netflix or TikTok to clear my head, or I'm walking around, I'm looking for food to order, I'm just scrolling through my WhatsApp status. So I kind of like pace myself. Also, I know my speed as a designer, so I know what I can get done within a particular time frame. It's just me understanding what works for me. If you work on one thing, I'm assuming that the way that you work is you give it more when you have your mind focused on just one thing, and that's fine. That's actually fine. You might even be more productive than me. I'm just saying this is how it works for me. And when it's not working like that, there's a problem. Like I just feel very empty when I'm only doing one thing. I feel like I even draw inspiration from this multiple projects or this multiple tasks that I'm working on. For example, I was designing a billboard. I don't know why I was designing a billboard. Please don't ask me. I'm a graphic designer. But I was designing a billboard, sha. And then I drew inspiration for a one pager landing page from the billboard mood board that I had to create. So that's just how I work. I feed off, I get like my inspirations from like multiple sources. So when you put me on one thing, it's like I don't have anything else to do. Like it's just this thing. And it's not, I mean, I can work with it if I have to, but I would rather not. So I just work better when I have multiple streams of like adrenaline coming in. Like I really like the whole adrenaline and like everything going at the same time. That's how I'm like boosted to like do productive work. That's just me. But if you're working on one thing and you feel like you're giving it your best and you're doing well, again, it works for you, it's fine. As long as it works for you, no problem. I hope that answered your question, Pamela.
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay.
Would that be all for now? Is that all the questions you have to take this evening?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking them. Like, I'm
Oh,
asking.
okay. Does anybody else have any questions for me
Any
now?
other question, please? Okay, I think.
Hi, sorry. I'm sorry. Please, can I just ask one more question?
Yeah,
Sure,
sure.
sure. Go ahead.
Okay, I wanted to ask: are these specific tools you use to share prototype videos, like or tools where aside from Figma that I can use to
Mm-hmm.
share so that users can test my designs, like they can use it. Are there specific tools that I don't know how to just get the
Okay,
question
I
like
think I understand your question.
okay.
So I currently am exploring prototyping with Figma, but there are a couple of other ones that you can use to prototype. I think Framer has one. Principal also has one. Origami Studio is also a good prototype tool. But when you're talking about testing with users, I feel like Figma is king when it comes to collaboration because you can leave comments. Can you leave comment on prototype? Yeah, you can leave comment on prototype. So my workplace, when we are handing off to developers, we send them a prototype and then we don't do a lot of meetings. So they just work the prototype. If they have any questions, they do it. They ask the questions in the comments. I think the next best product that did this thing well was Adobe XD. I haven't used XD in like 2 years, so I don't know where it is like now. But these are the two that I can speak to. I haven't used Principle for collaboration. I don't think that this other tool work for collaboration. They are very good prototyping tools, but if you're working with a team or you're using it for testing, maybe you have to export the prototype as a video and share to them. But then that's like, it defeats the purpose of collaboration. So if it's for collaboration, Figma is still like the best bet. But if you're looking for like other tools that have like more advanced settings, then you should look at Origami Studio, Principle, or Framer.
Okay, thank you. Then for sharing uh um for testing, sorry, I can still use Figma for testing, yeah?
You can also use Maze. Do you mean testing? Well, regardless. So Maze is, I'm trying to find the URL. It's a user testing tool that maze.co. Yes, it's very good. I
Means,
cannot explain
sorry,
to you.
can you scale?
Yeah, I'll drop it in the chat section.
Okay, thank you.
You should just look at what they have. It is very good for like your user test and everything like that. It works really good. You can try the free version they have and see how it is, if it's like what you're looking for. But I think it will be what you're looking for. It's pretty good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Would that be all? Anybody else have any question?
Okay, I want to believe that is all. So, Alison, Cesson, on behalf of all of us at Nexascale, we are very grateful that you made our time to speak to us and to
Thank you for
share
having